to the CATA Media Advisory. You'll have noticed that we're not in a hotel. We're online. We're using the new ways to reach out. I want to thank people for, well, some 300 people have already viewed the advisory. And I want to remind you that CATA is a not-for-profit organization with a mission to advance Canada to #1 status as an innovation nation. Your part of this media briefing is to like, share, and comment on the advocacy we're putting forward on innovative solutions. I have with me Dan Wasserman, who's our Chief Advocate for Procurement. I'll be bringing him in later to talk about the SBIR, some of the best practices. But let's think about best practices. Where do we have to go around the world to see how people are doing things well? What is the best practice? How can it be adopted in Canada? That's really led to the campaign today. One of the questions I've already got was, you're calling on the Prime Minister to lead the change, to lead the next version of innovative solutions. Well, one of the reasons we're doing this, he was in Washington with Microsoft, internationally meeting with CEOs, putting forward the Canadian opportunity and technology. That's what we need the Prime Minister to do. We give him a shout out for the work that he's doing on our behalf. Now we're bringing him back to Canada to continue that leadership. Some of the background on CATA's advocacy, just to refresh people's memories, we led the initiative to rename Industry Canada Innovation Canada, because you need that sort of focus in order to make progress. We also put forward for the federal budget a whole platform dealing with innovation advocacy. You'll see the URLs are attached. Look at that one page. There's some 12, 13 policy planks. All of those are reflected in the federal innovation budget. We pushed that hard, and now we're moving to the next step. The next federal budget, the tune-up, what we have to do to advance our innovation footprint. You'll see we've described in some detail, there's a 3-4 page briefing note on innovative solutions. It goes into the history behind this program. I think beginning in 1953, it talks about set-asides, it talks about funded commercial research. It really goes into what's worked so well for the Americans. So I thought we would, at this point, because I know I've had a number of questions, what are we trying to copy in the US? So Dan, you're there online. If I move my small to mid-sized enterprise to the US, what do I get there that I'm not getting in Canada?
That's a great question, John. And I think the key thing is that, again, depending on how you structure the deal so that you effectively move to the United States, and depending on the size of your company, and depending on number of employees and past year's earnings, you can be qualified as a small business. Actually, you can be qualified as a small business even out of Canada, but you can be qualified under the Small Business Administration as a small business. And depending on the composition of your company, you can qualify for a significant number of different Small Business Administration programs. If you're woman-owned, if you're veteran disabled, if you set up in what's known as a hub zone, those all have accrued benefits under the Small Business Administrations Act. In addition, you can qualify for the American Small Business Innovation and Research Grant Program, the SBIR. And for our audience, last year, they set aside for the 12 different departments that are under this umbrella, 3.0% of their department budgets to actually cover the cost of this innovation research. One key point, though, the actual allocation of the funds, A, does not have a matching fund requirement, which is so common in Canada, and B, is targeted towards commercializable projects that have a commercial outcome. So the whole intent is to build the economy, and those are the kinds of things that you could qualify for by virtue of being an American small business.
So what's missing in Canada? We're asking the Prime Minister to lead change. Give me the 3 things that you want him to do with respect to Innovative Solutions Canada. What's the list here? What do we need to do?
Well, there's really 2 things. I can summarize it in the 2. Number 1 is we do need an SBIR type program. We need a program that goes beyond the beauty of what we have with SHRED, the beauty of what we have with IRAP, other NSERC programs. As you know, my focus is health innovation and predominantly health IT and digital health. And with that in mind, there's CIHR's programs. Those are all great, but they all require either matching funds and or are targeted towards the research side of the innovation, not the commercial side. So that's number 1. Number 2, the set aside. The set aside enshrined in that law that goes back to 1953 under the Eisenhower administration is 23% of a federal department's budget must go towards small business. They put out a scorecard every year. That card says department by department, and in some cases agency by agency, how well they performed. In toto, in conjunction with large corporations, which again are mandated to fall in under that 23% rule. And for some of those other areas I mentioned before, under what's known as the 8A program, the small business woman-owned, small business veteran disabled, and hub zone, et cetera. So those are all partitioned out. Scores are meted out, and they have to conform.
Well, I'll add the 3rd one. The 3rd one is we'd like the Prime Minister to join us on Tech Now to announce his leadership of innovative solutions, adopting those 2 points that you just made. So open invitation to the Prime Minister to join us. We love technology. He loves technology. We want to profile his leadership across Canada in creating the next version of innovative solutions. I want to invite the viewers to like, share, and comment. We have a very big community. We have an outreach of more than 1 million viewers. And to make things happen, it really is community. By working together, we can make the changes that are required to advance Canada's status as a competitive innovation nation. Thank you for joining our advisory online. Send us emails. We'll get back to all your questions. Make sure you read the briefing note that's attached to the video. It is really very well crafted and should be enough to achieve that mission. So Dan, thank you again for your leadership. And we will tune in to Tech Now, hopefully with the Prime Minister next time.
Thanks, John.